Hey everyone, welcome back to the Iconist Podcast, and today we are talking about The Hand. I'm not giving you The Hand, we're talking about The Hand by Marvel Comics, Those Ninjas. Here we go. Thank you once again for tuning in, everybody. As you know, this is Barry from the Iconist Podcast. Remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the show be a secret. And Jaybird, thank you for the new template. And everyone else, thanks for joining in once again. So as I was saying, we were talking about The Hand. I like evil organizations, that we see in all the universes, be it if it's Marvel Universe, be it if it's DC, Image, Independence, Indie, whatever, IDW. Every hero fights a villain, and a lot of times there's evil organizations that are trying to take over the world, or maybe they're just misunderstood, and they're trying to have their version of the world because they want to be in power for whatever reason. One that I think it's brought to, it's always there, and it's just never, it could go more levels. And I believe, that is The Hand, right? That ninja group that we see there in Marvel Comics. So I have my jokes with it. So one has a hand, the other one has a foot. Okay, we know, both located in New York. They should be fighting, or at least trying to tie each other's laces. Okay, so the Hand Ninja Clan made its first appearance in Daredevil issue number 174 back in 1982, and it was introduced and created by Frank Miller. This was a whole storyline because Elektra was in there, and Elektra was a part of this group, and then of course that group made their appearance. So there's a couple of things with it. We all know about ninjas, generally speaking. We know they're supposed to be assassins. They came out from feudal Japan, where, the Lord would have his samurais who would do their fighting, and let's just say his Black Ops division would be ninjas, and they would take care of anything that was not honorable to go about it. So the Hand came about in the comic books, in their origin, that they were led by a samurai at the time. He went out to the mountains because he didn't like how things were going, and he started his own group, so to speak, and he was training people how to fight. So the Hand Ninjas, at the time when they first started, they were trained as fighters. They were, amazing fighters. And of course, then there was some conflict, and they got into a fight with another ninja clan. It was the Snake Clan that took over. And then when the Snake Clan took over and got rid of the present leader, unfortunately, they changed the direction of the group. Henceforth, getting them to do more assassinations, stealing, anything along those lines we know as ninjas. But on top of it, they also brought in some mysticism. They brought in some magic. So now this is now blending a lot of aspects to it. So one, you see some of the magic, like they have resurrection. So when Elektra ended up dying, she was killed off by Bullseye originally in that run. Then the Hand stole Elektra's body and were able to resurrect her back to life. And this caused a lot of conflict within Elektra. So she went at one point from a red suit that she would always wear, because at the time she was her best assassin, and then she broke away and they wanted to bring her back into the fold. When she got resurrected, it had a lot of impact with her, as I said, her soul, her decision. She questioned a lot of things. She broke away from them, and she went on her own soul-searching journey to their rival group, which, the Chaste. And the Chaste was led by Stick. So Stick is the man who trained Daredevil how to become a fighter, even though you're blind, because Stick himself was blind. And this is what caused Elektra to keep the same version of her costume, but it was all white. And of course, she's kind of gone back and forth as kind of anti-hero, hero, villain arc over the years, depending on how they needed to move a storyline along. But the Hand itself was divided, just like their name implies. So the Hand was divided into 5 different groups, and each group, as it called, were fingers, and each finger had a different leader on it. That henceforth the Hand. But when they all got united, then they became the Fist. So the Fist was another splinter group from the Hand. And then the Chaste, which, the main person behind that was Stick, who was Daredevil's mentor, got a couple of other ninjas, and they would try to thwart the Hand wherever they go to stop them from assassinations. Now, usually the Hand is over in Japan, obviously. And then, of course, they expanded their organization all the way to become just out of Japan to globally, to being what they do, from assassinations to smugglers to spies, whatever you need them to be. And they made their way into New York. Like every other hero or villain, it's always New York. If I had to live in Marvel Universe, I would live in Nebraska, because I think that's the safest place around. No, wait a minute. That was a New Warriors fighting Nitro. Yeah. Okay. So I would live in Canada. No, that's Alpha Flight. Never mind. That's okay. That's something else altogether. I think the safest place you could probably live in the Marvel universe is, well, hey, Gilligan's Island. There we go. I'll live on Gilligan's Island. No aliens, no supervillains, no superheroes. We're good. If find me a remote island, I think I'm good for a while. So, getting back to the Hand, because they're so splintered because they have multiple people. I want to see more of a story with them. They've had major assassins and major leaders, and some of them have been kind of forgettable, maybe, and some have been really influential, and some of them you're like, that makes no sense. Like, for example, Daredevil at one point during the Shadowland storyline, he becomes the leader of the Hand. Elektra becomes leader of the Hand. It always seems like it's this revolving door of who the leader is. Looking into the archives, I've come up with a theory. Maybe we haven't seen the true leader of the Hand. So we know the Hand, once again, has dealt with a lot of magic with other things from hypnotism, regeneration, resurrection, and they follow a person or a demon called the Beast. We don't know enough about the Beast, but the Beast has shown up in different storylines. There's always mention of the Beast. If you read the Elektra 8-issue miniseries, which was one of my favorite, the Beast is mentioned in there. And he comes off as a politician. He puts on the disguise, can win, and he comes a politician running for president. Now, outside of that, we don't hear too much about him. I think that there's a couple of characters that I would love to see in there. So during one of the storylines with the X-Men, we have Psylocke. She turns around, she goes on a mission. Long story short, she gets like almost killed, and then she comes back resurrected as a Japanese woman, henceforth the Asian version of Psylocke. So she went from Betsy Braddock with purple hair, the brother of Captain Britain, to come back with her memories in a totally different body. And her side blade, her psionic powers were a little bit different. They would come out as a side blade, almost like a silent blade, like Assassin's Creed. And she was recruited to the Hand. She was the Mandarin, the Ten Rings Mandarin, the comic book one. He got rid of the armor, put on a suit. He became leader of the Hand. And then he had his second in command, which is, forgive my pronunciation, Matsu'o Tsurayaba. He was the lover of the other assassin who Betsy took over her body. Now, that got split in two, and I know it's a convoluted storyline. And once again, you can all read it. Go to your neighborhood comic book store. You can find it. It's in the X-Men series. It ran there. It was all done during the Acts of Vengeance storyline. But he was a younger guy, had some magic to him, ninja himself, but he was playing the second fiddle to the Mandarin. Where I would think this would go is, have we seen the true leader of the Hand? Maybe not. Because as a ninja, you're supposed to be secretive. You're supposed to be behind the scenes. So the storyline is, who's the true leader? They need to have one leader to unite all five fingers, because everyone's been splintered. And we've seen them show up in Iron Fist on Netflix. We've seen them show up in the Daredevil series on Netflix, which has now moved over to Disney+. They've showed up in the live action version of Elektra when Jennifer Garner was playing the character. So there are a lot of them, and we've seen some of them, like Stick has shown up and so forth. This being said, we need a good villain storyline with the groups. So the Hand was a splinter group from feudal Japan, from the Snake Clan. They kind of merged once they got rid of that leader. And then we look at the group Hydra. Hydra was a division. A couple of people from left the Hand and started Hydra. They did start Hydra. So they kind of started working for Hydra with that group and started bringing that up. So this is why those two groups are always fighting back and forth amongst each other, because even though Hydra is their World War II ties, they still have ties to the Hand. That's the conflict right there. So I would love to see this character come back. Now, I know Matsu'o had his issues. I mean, what he did is, at one point, he ended up poisoning Wolverine's love interest and killed her in not an assassination attempt. He assassinated her. And then Wolverine came for revenge, and he simply said, every year on her death, the day she dies, I'm going to show back up and I'm going to take a piece of you. And over the years, Wolverine has cut off this man's fingers, his arm, his nose, his ear, I think it was his spleen, until Betsy as Psylocke had to get in there and say, okay, look, enough of this. Like, he made it a point every year to show up and to do this to this man. And Wolverine did not want him dead. He wanted him a piece at a time, which is funny because Sabretooth did the same thing to him, saying, hey, Runt, every year on your birthday, I'm going to show up and kill someone that's close to you. I don't know who started the idea, but clearly we see how that goes. So, can the Hand do more? And that is yes, they can. One, let's get into a united front with the Hand. Let's find out more about the history because there's still a lot that's undiscovered. Maybe the Beast. How is the Beast related? We know he's a demon, but a demon from where? And what is the overall thing? We know the Hand has been behind Black Sky. That's their big weapon that they work on. And in the comic books, they were behind certain things like Pompeii. That's why Pompeii got wiped out, because of Black Sky. There was a little bit of magic. And this is this big weapon they're trying to deal with. And then you have the Chaste that are always trying to stop them. And that's, stick, stone, shaft, sword, and Elektra does join them at one point. So it's a small splinter group that are being chased all over the world going for a big ninja war. It would really be like the movie Ninja Assassin. Let's take that as the basis and let's really get into it. But I need to see the one true leader. We need to see Ken Wynn come back because he's supposed to be a political candidate, and that's the Beast disguise, and he's in office. How does he protect them? And then how do other organizations deal with them? Like, for example, Hydra. Let's get more into that rivalry. So we need a couple of people to stand out and a couple of people to go in there. And there's so many people that are attached with it. I think, one, we start thinning down the weeds and then show how deadly they are. All right, then. Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is the podcast and just our inner thoughts. And excuse me, I think I see a fly on the wall that needs an assassination. Ninja out.